Welcome to another A24 Vibe Discussion. Tonight we're doing a Mount Rushmore draft of apocalyptic films in lieu of us reviewing an all-time A24 classic next week in It Comes at Night. If you don't know what a Mount Rushmore draft is, we're going to randomly determine a draft order, and then each person will draft their favorite apocalyptic movie, and when one person picks a movie, no one else can pick it. It will be done snake draft style, so the person that picks fourth will get 2 picks in a row, and then it will snake back to the person who picks first. So on and so forth. We will all end up with 4 movies, or a Mount Rushmore of apocalyptic movies, and you, dear listener, will get to vote on who had the best Mount Rushmore on our social media. But first, as we start every A24 on the Rocks episode, we will let you know what we are drinking. My name's Eric Kiska, and I'm drinking a Bud Light. Up next, we have a special guest in place of Kelly, and that is the Sultan of Cybersecurity, the Ayatollah of InfoSec, my sister, Caitlin Kiska. Caitlin, what are you drinking?
Thank you. Hello. I am drinking a Finnish long drink, and then I can pivot to either Angel's Envy, or I can stay with this one, depending on what everyone thinks. Actually, I think I might go to the Angel's Envy. So,
very nice.
Yes.
Cole, what are you drinking?
Hey, it's Cole William Willard Gibson. I am severely jet lagged and pretty tired, so I'm living it up with some White Claws from the fridge, boys.
Nice. Kevin?
Very
How
good.
about you?
Good evening, world. It's Kevin K. Konkonachek, and tonight I'm drinking one of my favorite cocktails. It's a Downtown Toodaloo Rock and Rye with a little bit of apple cider. So, delicious.
Very
Sounds
nice.
delicious, actually.
A24 Vibe Discussion.
So, before we randomly determine our draft order, I do want to say that we picked all these films off a Wikipedia list of apocalyptic films, so there was a predetermined list of movies we could and could not pick from. You can look up that list by Googling List of Apocalyptic Films Wiki. Before we get into this draft, I do want to ask each of our co-hosts here, in lieu of our subject today, if there was a zombie apocalypse, what would your zombie apocalypse plan be? Caitlin, since you're our guest, let's start with you.
So I've known this for a while. I would hijack a boat. I would commandeer a large yacht, and then I would take it places, and then that way you only have to go on land with the zombies, like when you actually need something. So yeah,
would you be fishing for food mostly?
I would fish. I would pillage. Obviously, I would.
You'd be pirate Viking.
Basically, I'd go on a shore excursion, like a cruise. But the shore excursion, obviously, you're fighting zombies and stealing food and bringing it back to your boat. So that's what would happen.
Cole, what's your plan? I know you moved to Alaska, so I'm sure you already have a plan in the works right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, step one of the plan was to get as north as possible because everyone knows the undead don't have blood flow, so they just freeze. So while you guys are all fighting zombies, they're all just going to be frozen popsicles where I'm hanging out. So I'm just going to be chilling. I got a small collection of firearms. I'll be hanging out, hunting, just generally living the best life I can up here.
So what will you do when the electricity goes out and you no longer can get heat in Alaska?
Well, good thing we have all of our heats through like boilers, so we can run them off of diesel. Also have like wood burners, so I can run my heat off a wood burner. I don't need you, lower 48. You guys with all your fancy electricity and stuff. We're set. We're set. We're ready to go.
The old-fashioned way, I see. Kevin, what's your plan?
Well, I am packing everything up, grabbing a couple of guns, and like Cole, I'm heading north. I'm going straight to the UP. I'm going to find a couple cabins up there as I get all my gear, and then we're heading to Canada, and we're just going to get lost in the woods. We're pretty much just going to bet on there's enough empty land that no one's touched up there. I'm going to build a cabin and a wall and a bunch of defenses and just going to survive. I'm going to go straight mountain man, big old grizzly beard. It's going to be great.
Hey, Kevin, you can...
I'll meet you there. That's pretty much what my plan is.
Just come on up. Just come all the way up.
You gotta... I'm gonna raid random Walmarts on the way, though. That's the big plan, is like you just need to find random Walmarts. Do they still sell firearms at Walmarts? I feel...
most definitely.
Yeah. I thought there was some weird thing where they stopped selling some kind of firearms at Walmart.
Maybe an assault rifle, but
yeah,
they can buy everything else.
Either way, I would raid Walmarts and then live around. I would be a nomad for sure. Yeah. I think that's the number one thing. You just can't stay in one place for too long. Maybe, okay, if you booby trap everything like in Last of Us, but Nick Offerman in Last of Us, but yeah.
What was it? Walking Dead, they managed to build some pretty big structures.
Yeah.
Post-apocalyptic world.
Never lasts, though.
All right, so, yeah. So now we are going to randomly determine our draft order. I have a random number generator here, and each of us are going to pick a number. Whoever's number is closest to this randomly generated number then gets to go first in our Mount Rushmore draft. Caitlin, what is your number?
3, my lucky number.
3. All right. Cole, what's your number?
Are we only picking 1 through 4?
1 through 100.
Oh, 100? Okay, 42, baby.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, how about you?
I'm gonna roll this D100 dice that I have in front of me, and it'll tell me the number that we need here.
Nice.
59.
Classic.
59. All right. I'm going to go 67.
That was my football number.
Now, oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this on random.org, true random number generator. And I can take a screenshot if anybody accuses me of cheating. So, okay. All right, here we go. 1 through 100, generate. The number is 9. So that would mean Caitlin would go first.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start. And I will say, after you pick your film, give us a brief explanation of why you picked that film, so we can reminisce a little bit about our favorite apocalyptic films here.
So I'm going to start out. I'm going to take, I think, one of the favorites probably from everyone here, which is Children of Men. I absolutely love Children of Men. It's one of my all-time favorite movies,
So
specifically because of Michael Caine. When he's like, pull my finger, and that, when he has to like stop everyone from coming after them. I love that whole scene. I love everything involving Michael Caine in that movie. I like how they portrayed the post-apocalyptic world, and I think the reason I like speculative fiction is that it's very close to what you would think you would see like in the real world, and I think that they did an accurate depiction of what a kind of a post-apocalyptic world would look like and how people would interact with each other. So for those reasons, that's my first favorite movie. And something I also wanted to mention too, which I thought was very, very interesting, is when I was looking at all the movies, this was like a fucking heyday for dystopian and apocalyptic movies. Like there's several of the ones I really liked were from this time period. So Children of Men was 2006, and a lot of the other really good ones are from all within 5 years of this too. So this was just a great time for apocalyptic and dystopian movies as well.
That was on the top of my list too, my number one. If I had the first pick, I would have picked it too. I love that film. And didn't I send you something, Caitlin, about how we're literally living like, or is it like 2032 when all of the Children of Men stuff goes down? It's around that time period, but yeah, like we're not living that far away from it, and it takes place in Britain, and all of it is kind of like started with anti-immigrant sentiment. And
yes.
That is not too much different than the time we're living. 2027. Oh wow! So
almost there,
but
baby.
Not too much different than the time we're living in.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael Caine's character is awesome. Apparently, he that was inspired by John Lennon. His character. I guess how John Lennon was publicly, not privately. But yeah.
That is an amazing fact I did not know. Actually, that's interesting.
Yeah. All right. So Cole, you're gonna go second. Kevin will go third. I'll go last. Because Cole, you picked 42. And that's the second closest to the random number.
Children of Men was actually my number 2. So I'm still happy that I get my number 1. It is a French-made graphic novel adapted to film by a Korean director, set in English, and it's Snowpiercer. It is one of my favorite post-apocalyptic films. Just the whole concept of the train, and I thought the acting and just the whole. I like the concept of each car as they like work their way through it. Has a whole different kind of vibe and theme to it. And the back of the train is the lower class, working class, and then as they work up to the engine, it just gets more and more crazy. So that's my number 1. I absolutely love that film.
Great film. Great way to show class warfare in a much smaller setting, set in the future where I think it also was it had to do with climate change. Why did the polar ice caps what happened? Why is it all cold again? I haven't seen in a while.
It's just like climate change happens to the point where it gets, instead of like super, heating up like we are, it gets to a point where there's a big freeze and a forever winter occurs and everything starts freezing and nothing thaws and everyone retreats, and then this crazy, philanthropist, like billionaire dude was like, I'm going to build a train that's a, perpetual motion train essentially, except for, it's not, there's a certain sacrifice that they have to make to keep it going. So great movie. Very, I don't know. I feel like apocalyptic movies are always ones that I feel like just never get the appreciation and love that they deserve. Like Children of Men, I think, is a fantastic film, but I still think it's like criminally underrated in terms of like general, movie, the general viewers. I feel like a lot of people haven't seen that. And the same thing with Snowpiercer. I think that one kind of climbed up a little bit when they made that TV show, and they got one of those Chris's was in the movie. So.
Chris Evans, yeah, who was Captain America.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining, Eric, you on the train just being like, why is it all cold again here?
Why is it all cold? I completely forgot.
Yeah.
Drink too much Bud Light. But Bong Joon-ho directed that, and he directed Parasite too. Great director.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, what's your pick at number 3?
All right. For our listeners out there, I'm going to be completely transparent and honest with you. I was not supposed to be on this episode because I honestly have not seen a lot of these movies. Children of Men, now I got to see it. I've not seen it. I joined this podcast having no idea about general movies and perspective. So my list is a lot of action packers, things that are blockbuster hits, some things that are probably
fine.
kind of
you might get more votes
off
because,
the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? But either way, I am excited to get all of your lists, steal them all, and watch them all immediately. So thank you for that. So my number 1 is going to be the 1999 science fiction action film, The Matrix. I think that this film in general, for me growing up as a kid and seeing kind of what they were able to accomplish from a visual perspective, it won 4 Academy Awards in sound editing and sound and visual effects and editing in general. So that film just came across as larger than life. The performances from Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne, and some of the other major people in that film were just spot on, and inspired multiple spin-offs and an entire generation of science fiction fans. It's from a post-apocalyptic standpoint. It kind of shows you what can happen or what might happen if the machine is able to take over, and it's definitely got a lot of staying power, I think, from a cinematic standpoint, and I really like that movie. I know if Kelly were on here, she probably would have also picked The Matrix as number 1, so I felt that it was important to represent that in my list.
The Matrix was number 2 on my list, and yeah, all 3 of these films were in my top 5 after I, drew out like my basically top 20. Like, yeah, The Matrix, it's a classic. It'll, I think, stand the test of time, live in our brains forever. It started a brain worm for all of us that will never, it's kind of like Keanu. He has that worm come out of him, but for us, the worm stays in us, right?
Yeah.
So.
Are we in a simulation?
I'm going to go one further on this. So not only is The Matrix, I think, a wonderful pick for this, the scene in The Matrix where they're in the steak restaurant and he's eating the steak with the wine is one of my favorite bits of like all time. I love that scene. Sometimes when I get sad, I watch that scene on YouTube and he's eating the steak and he's like, I know my brain is supposed to say that the steak is juicy and delicious. And what is it? He's like, but ignorance is bliss. And then he eats the steak.
Yeah.
Like, I just love that scene. It's spectacular.
Joe Pantalone, he's so good. And yeah, he played one of my favorite villains of all time in the Sopranos, Ralph Cifaretto, but he's just generally a good villain, great villain actor. All right. And so since I get 2 picks here, we're going in snake draft style here, I feel like I might be a little liberal with my picks here. And I also think one of the films that I would pick might come back to me later. So, for my number 1 pick, the 4th pick overall, I'm going to go WALL-E. It's the Pixar classic, in my opinion, probably the best Pixar film ever made. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but it's just like, I can see all this happening. It's another film where climate change basically causes the apocalypse on Earth, and it's not a full apocalypse. There are humans that are left. They all have to leave and we all get fat, and our legs get shorter. We basically evolve into lazier and lazier humans. And I mean, statistically, that is happening actually. So it's one of those like films that was done in a comedic way that, if you read just a little bit beyond the surface, it's actually a pretty disturbing concept. And that's what I love about WALL-E. So, and my next pick will be. So I think there's going to be one that will come back to me later. So I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to pick one that I think a lot of people would pick. And that's Mad Max Fury Road. I knew Cole would not let that one go if it got back to him. And yeah, this was one of my favorite films from 2010 to 2020. Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron, and just kind of the constant action and chase sequence throughout the whole film that just never lets up. The anxiety, the thrilling aspect of it, the suspense. It's one of the more well-done films of the last 20 years, and what a great apocalyptic film. So that's what I'm picking for my my second pick and number 5 overall.
Yeah, I mean,
thoughts?
Fury Road makes 100% sense. That movie is just so good, and then like the visuals in that film are just phenomenal, from the soundtrack to the explosions and all the over the top practical effects stuff. I absolutely love that film. WALL-E, I feel like, was a bold choice, but it is also it is a fantastic film, and when you really think about it, it is pretty dark and very telling about our societal ways, where everyone is just getting lazier and lazier, and instead of trying to fix the environment and our problems, the way we fix things is we build something to do it for us, right? Instead of cleaning up the trash, or maybe let's eliminate or reduce trash. They're like, we're going to build a bunch of little robots. We'll take the trash and make it into cubes.
Yep.
You're just like, that doesn't fucking solve anything.
Yeah. And then the little robot just watching the classic films, classic musicals. Or isn't it just one film that he watches over and over again? I completely forgot the film.
It's the scene from Singing in the Rain.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, Singing in the Rain, yep. And that little touch to it just kind of gives us a bit of Hollywood too, and it makes it all the more charming, in my opinion. So
that movie makes me hysterically cry.
It's very sad. Yeah,
yeah.
When he's go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, please. Yeah.
I was gonna say Mitsu, the scene where he's just crying and waiting for her, and the rain's going down, and he's just waiting and aging the whole time. It's just like
yes,
yeah,
just dying. And I will say this list was woefully incomplete of what is considered an apocalyptic film. But for lovers of WALL-E who like to personify electronics, also in this genre is The Brave Little Toaster, an excellent film.
I could see The Brave Little Toaster inspiring the concept of how they actually built WALL-E, how they made him look too.
And if we wanted to kind of twist it on its head, The Brave Little Toaster is an apocalypse movie, but just for household appliances. So...
Okay.
I was really hoping you were going to say Maximum Overdrive, which is Stephen King's only directorial debut, where all the semi-trucks and cars just come to life and start killing people.
Yeah.
Such an amazingly terrible film. Yeah, there's a whole montage of people pumping gas. Just a legit montage of people overheating and their hands are getting blistered. They're like, oh my god, I'm dying. And they're just all the semis are like, you gotta keep fucking pumping the gas.
I stand corrected. It looks like it's Hello Dolly instead of Singing in the Rain for WALL-E.
Hello Dolly.
I was like, why? Yeah.
It's the same.
If they ever make The Stand into a series of films, or maybe just a Netflix TV series, that will be fucking fantastic as an apocalyptic series or film. I know they did make it into a TV series a long time ago. I never saw that though. But all right, Kevin, your second pick and 6th overall here.
This massive list is just full of bangers, and I could make a list of 25 movies that I probably would, enjoy rewatching again. And now I'm into the spot where I go, what do I pick that other people might pick, don't pick, want to pick? I don't know. I'm all over the board, so I want to make sure that I secure one of my favorite movies of all time that's on this list. I'm sticking with 1999, and we're going with the great comedy movie Dogma. Dogma.
Oh,
was,
that's on this?
That is on this. Yep.
That is
That's a
on
great
this
movie.
list. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Kevin Smith. One of these movies that, growing up as a Catholic schoolboy, there was nothing better than watching this film at an age where I was like, fuck you, everybody. Including the fucking Catholic Church. And this movie stood by as one of those things where you can do it. George Carlin coming out as the priest and introducing Buddy Christ is one of the most iconic scenes in my entire life. I fucking love that movie. I used to have it on my old iPod video, which was, if you can remember, the size of your hand. I downloaded like an MP4 and had it on this iPod video along with like Anchorman and one other movie that I would just watch like constantly. I could probably recite every line from that movie. I really, 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 really like that. Oh, and
Great
shout
film.
out to Alan Rickman as well.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman makes that great role as the angel. And I think I might watch this after this conversation because I just want to go see it again. So
One of my favorite Kevin Smith movies, and I think they like replayed it on Comedy. Was it Comedy Central where they replayed it all the time on TV? Obviously, the edited version.
Constantly.
Yeah,
yes.
and so I think I saw the edited version before I saw the unedited version, and yeah, that movie is fantastic. One of my like probably favorite screenplays of the '90s. I'm kind of a Kevin Smith stan. During that time period, he has not made a good film in a little while, but yeah, Dogma's great. Any other ideas on Dogma, or shall we move to Cole's pick?
I think this, again, really strong pick. I would not think of this as an apocalyptic movie, but I had the similar experience too, where like kind of just growing up in a very Catholic area, this was a very formative movie for me, and I remember it kind of reinforcing a lot of the beliefs that I was questioning at the time. So, excellent.
For sure. All right, Cole, what is your second pick?
Man, this is getting hard because there's like two that are basically the same movie done in completely different lights, and I think I'm gonna go with. Okay, let's do Shaun of the Dead. I absolutely love Nick Frost and all those guys what do you call it? The Cornetto trilogy, where it's like Hot Fuzz,
Simon Pegg,
yeah, Shaun of the Dead, and This Is the End.
People, I watched this in college in one of the film classes I took. I wasn't a film major, but I took a few film classes, and people hold this up as like one of the best examples of satire in all of film, and I think it is kind of an instant classic. Right after they put it out, everybody's was just kind of like, this is genius. Yeah, just the satire of a zombie movie, which is so built up in film since the 1960s, since Night of the Living Dead. It's pretty ingenious for sure.
And it just was like such a breath of fresh air with all the zombie movies. I mean, there's so many zombie movies, and there's very few zombie movies that do it like extremely well. But they took such a fun spin on it, and just everything about it was just so perfect. And yeah, I could watch that thing. Probably will watch that maybe tomorrow.
I don't know why I just thought about this now, but is that movie more funny because it's British? So like Monty Python, right? Is that more funny because it's British? Is it as in general, whether the humor is more funny, accents, whatever may have you, does that set it up to be more of a hilarious film?
I think that the setting in over in Britain is what makes it probably more funny. I don't know if their accents do, but the fact that there's not a lot of guns over there, and there's not a bunch of military dudes like in America that are running around if the zombie apocalypse happens.
It's a good
I think
point.
that lended to kind of just the campiness and the fact that what's a stereotypical British dude gonna do when shit gets bad? We're going to the pub, baby.
We're
going to the Winchester.
Yeah.
There's why is it called the Winchester? Because it's got the one gun in the Tri-County area. So yeah, just everything about it. So good.
Oh, good times.
All right, Caitlin, what is your second pick? And you get two picks here, so
I love
it's the
this. Okay,
other end of the
good.
snake.
All right, so I'm going to do, for number 2, I'm going to do Resident Evil. I love Resident Evil. I did not know this was a genre I liked until it showed up for me on Netflix, where it was recommended movies and it said strong female lead. I love any kind of movie with a strong female lead where someone's kicking ass. And in this, you have two, right? You have Mila Jovovich. Am I pronouncing that correct?
I think
I'm getting
so.
close. I'm
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
think
you
so.
got her in her wonderful dress and the fucking kick-ass boots, just going around literally kicking the shit out of things. And then you have Michelle Rodriguez, who's absolutely spectacular. The laser scene where everyone gets cut into lasers and you watch their bodies melt in the weird way. The fucking dogs. Just such a wonderful movie. And also, too, I think this was a nice movie because it did have a lot of suspense in it as well, where it wasn't necessarily very formulaic. I didn't know really where it was going to go. And it's just also very heavily stylistic. And I love how everything's underground, which I can see kind of us trending that way as a society. So number 2 is Resident Evil. Are we holding commentary till after I do number 3 as well? Or
Yeah, let's do that.
number 3, 28 Days Later. I love this movie. I love when they get into the house with all the military people and they think they're going for shelter and to be saved and stuff like that, but really they have to band together and kick the crap out of the military people. I love when he goes to look for his parents and find his parents dead, because that's, I think a lot of, when you see a lot of these zombie movies, you're like, what would I do in this situation? Would I try to find someone? Would I go look for someone? So I like 28 Days Later a lot as well. And that, again, is from this kind of era in the early 2000s, which there were just some classic dystopian movies that were released, and I believe that was one of them. So that's my number 3 pick.
I never saw Resident Evil, and of course I know it's a video game. Like a lot of people think it's one of the better video games of all time, right? And yeah, like you got to definitely give props to films that were adapted from video games that actually did it well. That's actually very rare. 28 Days Later, I really like. It's first of all, it's an indie film, small budget, but also there just like wasn't a lot of good zombie films that had been created since like Evil Dead and Night of the Living Dead. Like you had those two, and then I feel like the 80s and 90s were kind of they didn't have a lot of good zombie films in those 2 decades, and I feel like 28 Days Later kind of brought back the zombie film. And yeah, you had that, then you had 28 Weeks Later, and I feel like all in that span, like right after 28 Days Later, I think Shaun of the Dead was created, and then Walking Dead was not far behind from there. Then you have Zombieland. Like I think it kind of brought back this zombie genre. So like big props to 28 Days Later for that.
Yeah, I fucking love that movie. Cillian Murphy is brilliant in that, and the fact that it was able to create an entire genre of zombie itself with the speed running zombies is incredible. Like when people talk about zombie lore or whatever, that movie introduced an entire new style of zombie to the cinematic world, and I just get chills thinking about it, because that's the most terrifying fucking zombie on the planet, the one that's sprinting at you instead of the slow like no, that movie fucking terrifying. Great choice.
Yeah. 28 Days Later was that was the one I was deciding between Shaun of the Dead and 28 Days Later, because that movie is just so good. And like Kevin was saying, 28 Days Later basically made zombie movies scary again, because zombies had not been scary for, I don't know, what seemed like forever. And then they brought out this one where the zombies were, one drop of blood and they could run, and they're, that's pretty terrifying. And then Resident Evil, I absolutely love the games, and then the movies are they are so hit and miss, but that first one is so good. And I like that Caitlin said that you never know where it's going to go. I don't know if they necessarily know where their film franchise is going, because they get pretty wild and pretty crazy, but overall they're just a lot of fun and a good time.
I was gonna say, my last thing about Resident Evil, the one thing I also really liked, which we're definitely seeing now, is like these kind of mega evil corporations. Like in Resident Evil, like the big bad is this thing called Umbrella Corp, and it's this faceless corporation, and you don't really know what's behind it. It's like its own monolithic evil type, and I think we're actually seeing that nowadays with some of the larger corporations. So
For sure.
Agreed. All right, Cole, what's your 3rd pick?
I think Mount Rushmore needs more faces on it, is what I think, because this is getting way too hard. I'm I'm gonna go with Akira. I think that movie, just from like
Nice.
The animation and the art and just everything, it's so stylized and so amazing. And it was fairly popular, but I feel like it's exploded recently in popularity just because people are becoming more and more aware of it, and anime is becoming more and more mainstream. And then I also like seeing all the films that take inspiration from Akira, like the Akira slide with the motorcycle has been like introduced into so many films. And That movie is just phenomenal. And if you don't like anime, watch that. Watch Graveyard of Fireflies, and you'll understand that they are like art in good films.
Yeah, I never saw that film until last week, and Kelly and I watched that together, and that's a phenomenal film. And I agree, it kind of like started this. Japanese anime mangas were already a thing at the time, but like it definitely didn't carry over into the United States, I think, until Graveyard of Fireflies and Akira as kind of cultural touch points that Americans started to actually just get kind of turned on to. And it was a really good film. Kelly would be proud.
I guess I have to see it now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah. Another definitely a Japanese film that it kind of touches on the thoughts of nuclear energy too. There's that kind of undercurrent throughout the whole film, as a lot of Japanese films do. Kevin, all right, what's your third pick?
All right, so this film is definitely one of these childhood favorites from an action-packed standpoint. We're going to go with the 1991 American science fiction action film Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
T2, baby.
James Cameron co-wrote, like I talked about, Arnold Schwarzenegger was starring role here. Why I like this film so much is it did something really unique where it took the villain from the first movie and did a face swap, essentially, and turned him from heel to face and made him the good guy. And I thought that was really cool because it changed the perspective of what the audience was thinking about going into the film and then left them coming out with a totally different perspective. It was a film that really, much to Cole's chagrin, ushered in the reliance to CGI in a lot of ways and kind of went away from some practical effects and started using some of the digital work that we see in later action films. And it was just one of those things where it's kind of relatively well thought of as one of the best sequels of all time because it kind of spawned another 5, 6 or whatever films where Cameron initially intended to end it after Terminator 2. It was just really, really well done. I liked it. It's something that sticks out as something pretty memorable from cinema history. So I think Arnold will be a good representation on my mountain. So,
yeah, I think it's better than the first Terminator. And I remember watching this, I think, in high school. And yeah, it takes the themes of the original one and expands on it. It's the classic example of like a fantastic sequel to a movie. And James Cameron directed that one too. And that was really what kind of put James Cameron. I think Aliens and Terminator 2 was really what put James Cameron on the map and like allowed him to eventually make Titanic. People started just giving him more and more money and just said like, yeah, make whatever the fuck you want, dude. We believe in you. And he usually succeeds in that. So, yeah, Terminator 2 was a great film, though.
I agree that the use of CGI, it did kind of revolutionize the thing with the melted, metal man that can phase through walls. But that movie, I think, does a great job of, trailing the line between CGI and practical effects because there's so much practical effects throughout that film. One of my favorite scenes in that film is where he's chasing Terminator and John Connor. He's got the semi, and he just blasts through a wall and jumps it down into the whatever that drainage ditch area, and that was done all practical. And what blew my mind about that whole scene is I was watching like behind the scenes, and when they drove that thing off the bridge, broke the wall, landed, and kept driving, it was actually under its own power. That semi held up throughout that whole thing. So that's pretty awesome. You don't see that in CG. I just watched all the Fast and Furious movies, and I'll tell you what, Fast 9 and Fast 10, holy shit, every car was CGI, and it killed me.
I've never seen any of the Terminator movies, but I love Arnold Schwarzenegger as a human. I think he's actually a really interesting immigrant success story. I like that he speaks so openly about some of the mistakes that he made and how he basically fucked up his marriage, and he's very open about that. And I will say this, I read this recently because he just came out with like a biography or something, and this quote caught my eye where a lot of the biography, he talks about calves, and he said calves are the biceps of the legs. He talks a lot about the importance of calves and how you must always work out your calves because they're the biceps of the leg. I'm like, I love this man. He's bizarre. And so I think it's a fun pick, even though I've never seen it.
Yeah.
So.
Also the best Apprentice host ever.
Really?
All right.
He's the Governator.
He ended up being the apprentice host after Donald Trump. So. All right, so I get 2 picks here, and this will be tough for me. There's a few left on this list that I didn't think would be left when it came back to me. But, I'm going to have to bite the bullet on this one because I love this film so much. I originally didn't, think this should be on Apocalyptic film list, but it was. It was on our list, and I guess there are aspects of, a possible apocalypse coming. And so that my third pick will be Blade Runner 2049. Not the original Blade Runner, but Blade Runner 2049. I think it's better than the original personally. Again, a classic example of, I think, a sequel taking the themes of the original and expanding on them exponentially. And the director Denis Villeneuve, he also did Dune recently. He's one of my favorite directors in Hollywood nowadays. And he's just I don't know. He takes what Ridley Scott did again, and I just feel like the cinematography in this film was so beautiful. On top of all the acting in it, Ryan Gosling is kind of a great just bot that doesn't have a lot of feelings, and he basically plays the same character as he did in Drive, but he's just a bot, And I don't know. I really love that film. And my fourth pick, I had to have a comedy on here, and this is probably one of the funniest films I've seen in the last 15 years, and that is This Is the End. I'm putting this on my list, and it's it takes revelations from the Bible. That's the apocalypse story that it draws from, and that was such a bold move by Seth Rogen and the writers to do that. And I don't think I've laughed my ass off more in the last 15 years at a film. There's other films that I probably laughed equally, but it's definitely up there. And Michael Cera's character at the start, that's just one of my favorite little cameos in film to ever be. And yeah, that's my fourth pick. I gotta have it on my list. So my 4 are WALL-E, Mad Max Fury Road, Blade Runner 2049, and This Is the End. Thoughts?
I don't like that last pick. I thought that movie was stupid.
Really?
Yeah,
damn.
Yeah, and it was interesting though because that came at such a time where the Seth Rogen, who's that guy he works with all the time?
James Franco.
No, not James Franco. Well, James Franco. Hello, that's fucking problematic there. Yeah. And then there's actually during the whole what is the guy with the curly hair?
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride.
No, the scandal. Oh my gosh, Danny No.
Danny McBride's in there. Yeah.
No, the guy who just had the scandal because he was.
Oh, Jonah Hill.
So when all the Jonah Hill stuff came out, there's a whole bunch of stuff that Jonah Hill was actively bullying people on the set and made it very uncomfortable for them to work on the movie. And they all talked about it at the time. They're he was actively running around being an asshat to people. And
that's his character in the film, but yeah.
It just seems to have a bunch of asshats in it, that movie. You know what I mean? And people who now a ton of people who have sexual harassment scandals or were basically covering for people who had active sexual harassment scandals. That just was such an ugly time for me. And it's not even that funny of a movie. It's not. I
think it's a hilarious movie, but yeah, that's just me. And I don't know. I just if you there's so many films. I can appreciate the movie and still not like the actors in it. I think
Yeah, it just gives me a bad taste in my mouth. That movie.
Okay.
Can
you rewatch 7 and still like 7?
Yes.
Yeah. See, and Kevin Spacey is almost, because of everything that came out about him, that film is almost even more creepy now. And so I do think though, there is something to be said where we can watch movies and even though the actors in it ended up being problematic or shitty, we can appreciate the movie on its own. I still believe that.
I don't think that's that good of a movie though. That's the problem. Okay. Is yeah.
So here's my 2 cents on This Is the End. I think it was Seth Rogen and a bunch of his friends sitting around getting really, really fucking stoned and being wouldn't it be funny if we wrote this? And then we have the money to do it, and then they did it.
Yes.
And then they went, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we got Hermione Granger to come and do this? Let's get Emma Watson on the phone, and they brought her in. It was just random as hell, and nothing against Eric. I love your opinion on everything, but I also did not enjoy that movie.
Okay. Cole, did you not like that film?
watched it and I thought Michael Cera was pretty funny, but otherwise, like, not my favorite film.
Did a
Although
bunch of
I did,
cocaine in that
Okay,
movie.
I'm alone on it.
so
Kelly and I rewatched it recently, and she like loved it too. So maybe I just like it stands as a cultural touch point in time for me and nobody else. But yeah,
I was just gonna say that the movie itself, it reminds me of like kind of how Adam Sandler takes all of his friends and makes a movie, but his are more just like slapstick comedy, while this one felt like Seth Rogen and all of his friends made a movie and it was just a bunch of like stoner humor, and I don't know, it doesn't necessarily land as well for me, I suppose.
Yeah, I'd rather watch Pineapple Express if I'm going to watch Seth Rogen's donor
Yes.
humor.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
all right, Kevin, what's your fourth pick?
Oh, yes. All right, so the people listening to my list would be like, yeah, he's got 3 really good bangers. And all of a sudden we get to this movie and they'd be like, what the hell is this dude doing? But it doesn't matter because this is one of my favorite apocalyptic films ever. And it's the probably little known or overly known, depending on who you are and what circles, the 1995 American action film Waterworld.
Yes.
That's right, Waterworld.
Yep.
Kevin Costner has got an ability to just be one of my favorite actors maybe ever. Dances with Wolves, The Postman, Waterworld, some of these great just 90s classics. And for me, Waterworld is just so over the top, so absolutely ridiculous. At the time, it had the highest budget of any movie created at 1995, at like $175 million or something. It was absolutely astronomical. For those of you who've seen it, the set pieces are massive. The scenery involved and the Hollywood actionness to this is just over the top. Well worth your watch. Didn't get a ton of critical acclaim, but it's a cult classic, and it certainly lives in my brain rent-free constantly as one of just the great examples of mid-90s cinema, and especially post-apocalyptic world where there is no land, only water, and what happens. Because honestly, that's probably more realistic than anything else. Ice caps, everything else, the whole 9 yards, where all the land's going to sink, water's coming up, so, we should probably just get boats.
I love it. Have you guys seen Waterworld?
Yeah.
Eric and
I actually have not.
Oh,
It is asinine in a beautiful, entertaining way. It's fucking ridiculous in like a happy, strange, just delicious way. It's worth watching. It's excellent. It's very unique. It's creative to the point of being asinine, where you're like, how the fuck did these people come up with some of this shit? Like, but in a wonderful, happy way. And it's like, it's just a treat to watch. I love it. So
Dennis Hopper plays the villain, and he's absolutely brilliant as well. And it's just like
He's
you
a
said,
great
it's
villain.
really fun,
Yeah.
really fun to watch.
Yeah.
the costuming is
Yes,
spectacular.
oh my god, iconic, absolutely iconic.
Yeah, and they made a whole Universal Waterworld stunt show. So it has to be top tier.
About that.
Also, they argue they like fight. Isn't I haven't seen this movie in forever, but isn't there a whole like arc, or maybe it's the main point of them trying to find a jar of dirt or trade for it or fighting over it or something?
Yeah, there's no greenery on Earth. There's no plants. There's nothing. So the idea is that if you can get Earth, or if you can grow something, you can start again. Although the currency in that film is cigarettes, which are all rolled in paper. But that's besides the point.
Kevin's top 4 here: The Matrix, Dogma, Terminator 2, and Waterworld. Cole, what is your 4th film?
There's a few that I'm trying to decide. There's either like the super well done like cinematography artsy style one. There's the like end of the world, everything is terrible, life is terrible, it's never going to get better, like more of a realistic approach to it. Or there's the super fun, just like a great film that I think no one watched. And I'm trying to decide which of the 3 I want to pick. You know what?
The great film that no one watched is Sex Mission, right?
Sex Mission.
From 1984.
No.
Sorry, there's just some weird shit on here that I'm like, what is some of this stuff? But continue though.
I'm gonna pick The Rover. I mean, we're an A24 podcast. I've talked about how much I love The Rover. Eric already stole Mad Max Fury Road, so I'm gonna pick the Australian, like, super not over the top action, very low key stakes of just a man who's trying to get his car back in post apocalyptic Australian outback. Such a good film, such a beautifully shot film that I think, doesn't get, maybe all the deserves or accolades it should have. Robert Pattinson's in it, and this film was the one where I watched it. It completely changed my mind of him as an actor altogether. I'm pretty sure this was his first film after Twilight, where he wanted to get away from it, and he fucking nailed it, man. Such a good film.
I kind of wish now that I picked It Comes at Night for my fourth film. Especially, it sounds like I'm going to get shit on for This Is the End by other people on social media too, but that's fine. But yeah, The Rover being the fourth film, I liked The Rover a lot. I think It Comes at Night is a better apocalyptic film if we're talking A24. But The Rover is definitely more of a Cole film because it's kind of a Western too. So I can see that for sure being on.
Can I? I just want to put an honorable mention. If you like Mad Max and The Rover, and you like, desert apocalyptic movies, but instead of cars, everyone has BMX bikes. It's called Turbo Kid, and it is so fucking good, and no one has ever seen it.
Turbo Kid. Okay.
Absolutely love that movie. It's just a bunch of kids with BMX bikes, and there's a bad dude who has like a chainsaw for an arm, and they're all fighting it out in the middle of a desert with BMX bikes. It's pretty fucking sick.
I'm excited because I just looked forward at our A24 schedule, and it looks like I get to host It Comes at Night, according to our dealio. Yep. So I'm pretty frickin' stoked about that because I had no idea it was a classic and all this other shit. So now I got to really concentrate. That's cool.
Cole's top four is Snowpiercer, Shaun of the Dead, Akira, and The Rover. All right, Caitlin, what is your fourth film?
So I'm glad that this one was still available because it really kind of tells a nice arc, and I'm excited to kind of expound on this for a second. Number 4 is Doctor Strangelove. Iconic movie for a reason. One of the things that I really liked about this project in general, when I say this project, researching these films, is seeing the kind of evolution of what an apocalyptic movie looks like. And if you actually go back to the apocalypse movies around the time of Doctor Strangelove, a lot of them are nuclear heavy. They're nuclear threats, communism, things like that. And then as we get into 90s, 2000s, we see it switch to like disease vectors. And so I think it's really interesting in apocalyptic movies what we're thinking of as causing the apocalypse and how that mirrors what we're scared of in like the human mindset at the time. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, definitely.
100%, absolutely.
Yeah, like Dr. Strangelove, nuclear war threat for sure.
Computers or Stephen King semi-trucks, right? And so I'm curious, and this is my kind of question to all of you. Do you see future apocalyptic movies still focusing a lot on disease vectors like we have in the last 10 years, or do you think it's going to change, or what do you think is going to be causing the apocalypse? Like, what's front of mind for people right now?
I think personally computers and AI are going to take over a little bit. Robots, AI, I think people are going to revisit the idea that
computers are going to become sentient and start killing people. Yeah,
right, exactly. Ex Machina is going to literally happen sooner, very much later than later. Yeah. So I think that'll be the start. So instead of zombies, it'll be robots. Ex
Machina was not on our list of possible films to pick from, but because it was so, I mean, there's only 2 other people in there besides Ava. So like, I agree that shouldn't be an apocalypse film, but yeah. Sorry?
I was just saying it wasn't Westworld level yet.
Yeah, it was very localized at that point. But I mean, like there's artificial intelligence AI. That's the Steven Spielberg film with Haley Joel Osment. That was from the list we could pick from.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, I feel like that was a good film. It just didn't like take it to the level.
That was fucking weird. It was a weird
film.
I was gonna say that movie just...
Stanley Kubrick was originally wanted to direct that film, and then he died and he couldn't direct it. And then Steven Spielberg took over. And that was a weird movie. But yeah, I agree. I think we'll definitely start seeing more AI apocalypse films. And I mean, after COVID, we're gonna get more like disease,
I think there's gonna be
like related apocalypse films.
Sure, it'll ramp up, and then I think it'll die back down.
And then when the actual apocalypse happens, it'll be because of climate change. So, yeah.
Well,
we'll get more of those films.
I was going to see if anyone was going to list Day After Tomorrow, or like 2012. That one.
Day After Tomorrow. That was such not a good film, but
It is interesting though, because we do have like blips recently of climate change being the cause for the apocalypse, but again, it's not like prevailing. It's not hitting the public consciousness enough, I think, where people they're wanting to make a ton of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I guess the two films that people picked on this list, WALL-E and Snowpiercer, were probably they had the most to do with climate change, like ending the planet. You know?
I can't believe I didn't pick The Happening. Have you guys seen The Happening with Marky Mark?
Yeah.
I mean, Waterworld is a result of sea levels rising, so same idea.
Yeah, The Happening was the M. Night Shyamalan film where wind was killing people, basically.
No, it was...
Well, wind was talking to the trees, and then...
Terrible movie.
Yeah, I was going to say, the trees were releasing a pheromone that caused people to kill themselves, and the wind was just transporting those pheromones across the world.
Yep.
But Marky Mark, man.
And that's similar to that Bird Box film with Sandra Bullock that was, like, huge just in 2018, and I feel like people have kind of laid off that film now. But that was a huge film in 2018.
Is that worth watching?
I think it's worth watching once. It's kind of like it's better than The Happening, I'll say. Oh. It's a similar type of film, but like at least it's a bit better.
Did anyone see the new one that just came out, the Barcelona one? I can't believe they made another one, but I haven't watched it.
No, I didn't. Is it like Bird Box Barcelona?
Yeah, it's just called Bird Box Barcelona. Assuming it's just the same concept, but in Barcelona, but I really have no idea.
Interesting. Oh, I see it. Okay. Weird. All right, well, Caitlin's top 4 is Children of Men, Resident Evil, 28 Days Later, and Doctor Strangelove. And again, we will post all of our Mount Rushmores on social media, and everybody will get to vote on it. Caitlin, did you have one more thing you wanted to say?
I want a final critique, but to take it home for how bad your pick of This Is the End was. When I was 20, I ate an edible and I went on a date. And I came back from the date being like, the person was so funny. He was so fucking hilarious. It was such a good date. And my friends were like, Caitlin, that person wasn't hilarious. You just ate an edible. And they're like, go on a second date with him, not eating an edible, and tell me if he's still funny. And I went on the second date with him. The man was just dry as a saltine cracker, right? Saltine cracker of a man. And I feel that is that movie. Like, how much marijuana did you and Kelly smoke where you're like, This is a funny movie?
We just rewatched it, and it was like a classic, I felt.
I don't know if I believe you. So.
And I enjoy that they went the Revelations route of, like, the end of the world. Like, it's a very original take on the end of the world in film. Like, they haven't really gone a lot of Revelations routes on the end of the world in film. So, yeah. I still think that movie's fucking hilarious, but... That's just me. Either way.
I want to shout out Reign of Fire. It has Matthew McConaughey and the guy that played Batman, and it's in a world set with dragons, and they're fighting dragons. It's pretty awesome.
There's a lot of guys that have played Batman.
Christian Bale. That's who it is. Christian Bale, Matthew McConaughey, fighting dragons. I mean, I know who you
meant, but like, come on.
I've never seen that, but Christian
Bale
one has. Sounds good.
No one has.
All right, well, please remember to rate and subscribe us, and I hope that you vote for my list and don't shit on This Is the End too much. So,
man, I don't know why I thought Mount Rushmore had 5 faces. Oh, well. Here's my shout-out. Train to Busan was going to be my zombie film that I was going to put on my film, since Cole took the only other zombie film that I was going to put with Shaun of the Dead. The Korean zombie film. That was phenomenal. That's what I think.
That's on my list now.
Yes. Oh, you haven't seen it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it manages to completely take everything. Obviously, zombie translate. You don't need English to translate zombie fear, but holy shit. Really,
just take Snowpiercer and 28 Days Later and smash together. Just zombies on a train, baby.